What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy Burrow77 coming to you live to talk a little NCAA college basketball this afternoon. We have a massive board and a massive slate for Friday night. CS Fullerton's getting ready to tip off against Stanford. I do have the board up, and I will be happy to talk to you guys about any games you want. I'm going to go through a few things I have first, though. I have 5 games I want to talk to you guys about today, starting with VCU versus Boston College. That is tipping off at 6 p.m. Eastern time over on CBS SN. My manager says Alabama team total over 97.5. We'll take a look at that. Bama is definitely a super high-scoring team. They have a lot of pace, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll get into that here in a little bit, Leg. First, I'm going to start with VCU taking on Boston College. This is at a neutral site. So this is a neutral floor. It's over in Maryland. VCU is a top of the A10 program that is returning several outstanding players. One of them, a Ukrainian international, Max Shulga. He returns for his senior season. Shulga averaged 33 minutes a game last year. He knocked down a team-high 86 threes and is a pretty good shooter from behind the arc. He averaged about 14 points a game with 4.6 rebounds a game and had a team-high 135 assists last season. Shulga shot 41.5% from deep and 44.6% from the floor, all while making his free throws at an outstanding 87.6% clip. So I do like that VCU gets Shulga back. They also have Zeb Jackson returning. Zeb averaged just shy of 30 minutes a game, 11.4 points per game, 4.4 rebounds a game, and led the team in steals with 52 steals last season. And then last but not least, we have Joe Bamisil, who was kind of like the star 6-man off the bench for them. He's still averaged 23.2 minutes per game, but never really made it into the starting 5, but was a very bulk minutes player. Bamisil averaged 13.1 points a game. He hit 64 shots from behind the arc, which was second behind Shulga, and he shot 37% from deep, which definitely isn't too bad. Averaged 3.4 rebounds per game, and he stuffed the stat sheet with 22 steals and 17 blocks. Bamisil definitely struggled from the free throw line and only knocked down 74.3% of his free throws. It was by far one of the weakest parts of his game, and an area he hopefully improved on this offseason. If you guys know some of my college basketball content, I do focus a lot on free throws because they're free throws. You should make them. And I do put a pretty heavy premium on free throw abilities for teams throughout the season. VCU was elite at blocking shots last season, averaging about 4.4 blocks per game, which ranked in the top 50 in the NCAA for the 23-24 season. VCU has really active hands and will also they were also in the top half of the league when it came to creating turnovers. They like to pick your pocket. They like to steal the ball. They also have some issues with ball security. They get sloppy with their dribbles, and they tend to turn the ball over a pretty good amount. VCU, it's all about hitting the 3 balls and playing defense. This is a very slow game pace. VCU averaged 71 points a game last season, but was really towards the bottom in possessions per game. They held their opponents to 66.7 points a game, which is good. So you got a nice point differential of about 3.3 there, 4.3, something like that. VCU shot an average of 14.8 free throws a game and was a 78.1% free throw shooting team. Last year, Boston College averaged 74 points a game, held opponents to 71-9. BC made it to the free throw line a decent amount at 11.2 times a game, and they shot a nice 75% from the free throw line as a team. Both of these squads are pretty good at working the glass. Boston College was pulling down about 35 rebounds a game last season, whereas BCU was pulling down about 33 rebounds a game. Those stats are a little misleading considering BCU played at a much slower pace. BCU was out rebounding their opponents by an average of 2 boards a game, where BC was averaging out rebounding their opponents by 1 a game. So very competitive boards battle here. And as I mentioned, this is a neutral site in Maryland, and VCU were a little sloppy with the basketball. I talked a lot about VCU because I really do like this VCU team, and I think they're going to challenge for the top of the A10. That said, they're playing Boston College, which is an ACC program, which is a pretty big step up in class. ACC programs, basically all your games are going to be on TV, national TV, local, and you're going to play Miami's, you're going to play Florida State's, you're going to play Wake Forest's, you're going to play a little bit bigger name programs. They are definitely a Power 5 program where, the A10 is considered a mid-major, but a little bit of a higher end of mid-major. They're still only putting it in max 2, maybe 3 teams into the tournament from the A10. So, the ACC being able to get 6 to 8 teams into the tournament definitely gives BC a little bit better recruiting here. I think this number is too big, even though I like VCU and the Rams, and I'm going to talk about them a lot this season. I think I'm going to go with Boston College here, plus 10.5. Now, that line is a little bit old from when I made these graphics this morning at about 10 a.m. You can catch the Boston College plus 10.5 now. It's minus 102 over on FanDuel. You can get plus 11 at minus 112 over on DraftKings. You can get 11.5 at minus 115 on MGM. So shop around, make sure you're getting the best number for your money. And that's just where I'm at with this. This is too big of a number on a very good mid-major program, but who's taking a step up in class to play a BC who is absolutely no slouch. They're an ACC program that will definitely have the guys and the muscle to get after it here. So let's jump over to UNC at Kansas, which is an awesome game. I also know that everybody's got a 50% boost over on FanDuel, and I think a couple of boosts over on DraftKings as well. It's probably the marquee matchup of the night. And it has 2 superstars in it, RJ Davis for UNC and Hunter Dickinson for Kansas. These guys are absolute ballers. RJ Davis averaged just shy of 35 minutes a game last year for North Carolina. He shot a team high 113 from behind the arc, and he knocked them down at damn near 40%, 39.8% from 3. And he shot 87.3% from the free throw line, which is absolutely outstanding. He averaged 21.2 points a game, 3.6 rebounds a game, and was second on the team in assists last season with 129 and second in steals with 45. RJ Davis is a guy to be on the lookout for, who should be playing at the next level in the NBA when he decides to go there. Armando Bacot did leave this team. Bacot was a huge rebounds guy, double-double guy, points in the paint. So that is something to be wary of here with UNC. Dickerson for Kansas averaged 32 minutes a game. He shot a pretty terrible 54.8% from the floor and only shot 62.4% from the free throw line, averaging just shy of 18 points a game with 17.9. But he is a good rebounder and good on the glass. And like I said, with Bacot being gone, that is an area that I think Dickerson will excel at tonight. He pulled down an average of 10.9 rebounds per game last season, especially in like a down year for the Kansas program by their standards. So Kansas is definitely looking for a little bit of a bounce back year this year. Kansas averaged just 75.6 points a game last season, which is terrible for them. And they only shot 72.1% from the free throw line, which is absolutely fucking garbage. But they did manage to pull down 36.1 rebounds a game. And, it's Kansas. They preach team basketball. Everybody likes to touch the ball over there. They averaged 19 assists a game, which is really good for a college team. UNC last season, as I mentioned, Bacot's gone, so that will have a major impact here, but they averaged 82 points a game last year. They shot 75.9% from the free throw line, pulled down 41 rebounds a game, and had 14.5 assists a game. Both of these teams like to play a faster pace, and they play well above the NCAA average. So we are looking at a lot of possessions per game out of each of these guys up and down the floor. So expect a fast pace here. Expect there to be ability to have high scoring game, which is why the line's set over under at 159.5. And Allen Fieldhouse is always just an extremely tough barn to play in. It's always hard to go on the road to KU and get any sort of result there. I think that UNC could win this game outright. I think they do have a few too many moving pieces here for me to take the money line, but I'm going to go ahead and back UNC on the plus 7.5. Let me see what the lines are on this game now that it's much closer to tip-off. Again, I did all these graphics and stuff early this morning. You can get plus 7.5, minus 102 on FanDuel, plus 8, minus 108 over on DraftKings. That's a nice number there. 8 is a really key number in college basketball. It's 4 2s or 2 3s in a 2. 8.5 is nice as well. Over on BetMGM, you gotta lay minus 115 to do it. It looks like the market consensus is 8 more than it is 7.5. But as I mentioned, FanDuel and DraftKings both have boost tokens on this game. I'm gonna rock with UNC, and I would look at RJ Davis points and Hunter Dickinson rebounds if you're trying to build some sort of same game parlay or get involved with player props here. So that's where I'm at with this one. What's up, guys? Good to see you in the comments. Appreciate you. Lean the under in this game. I do as well, Fernando. I think that the early games do tend to be under. Yesterday, I was wrong on a U of I game. I hadn't. I don't know. I'm a little split on the over-unders, but let's see. I think I'm 2-3 on overs-unders this season. So, again, I definitely like getting involved in totals when I have a little bit more information and I'm a little more familiar with the teams than just kind of betting blind here. But I tend to agree with you. I think that baskets do come at a premium until guys get in rhythm. This is a major game at Allen Fieldhouse. I could see the under being really live here. Can't believe we're already getting Kansas, UNC, and saying, yeah, what's going on, Charlie? Thanks for tuning in, Cuzzo. Appreciate you. So, yeah, I like this one. I'm going to take UNC here. I like the points. I think this is a big number against a Kansas team that really struggled to close out games last season, close out at home, too, which isn't typical of a Kansas squad. They do have an extra year under their belt, and they are returning a pretty good amount of starters. So I just think this is too big of a number, and I'm going to go ahead and take UNC with the points. We'll keep it moving on to another A10 versus a Big East game. George Mason, I know they changed their logo. I think their new logo looks like fucking trash. I don't think this one looks particularly very good either. But hey, what are you going to do? They're taking on Marquette up north in Wisconsin at Marquette. And Marquette's just flat out better than Mason at all 5 positions on the floor. Marquette's returning 5 guys from last season that should all be starting this year. A couple of guys were bench guys or rotational guys. And they did lose a couple of guys to the NBA, like Tyler Kolik and what's his name? Ordogo, something like that. But Cam Jones is back along with Stevie Mitchell, Chase Ross, Ben Gold, and Dave Joplin. They all return for Marquette, who did lose Tyler Kolik and Oso Ighodaro. So Ighodaro was a nice, I think he was sophomore, maybe a junior, played power forward / like center, good skilled offensive center that could step out a little bit, got a lot of rebounds, blah, blah, blah. Cam Jones is definitely solid. He averaged 29 minutes a game, shot 50% from the floor, which could be a little bit better, but made a team-high 95 shots from deep while shooting 40% or higher from behind the arc, and he made 72.4% from the free throw line, averaging 17.2 points a game, and had 87 assists, which was 3rd on the team. Look, Marquette's returning 5 guys. They're a good program. I typically don't like taking Shaka Smart to cover big numbers, especially on the road. But this George Mason team actually sucks out loud. I was watching them play their first game. They were in the bonus, meaning they were getting free throws the rest of the way in the first half with like 15:09 left on the clock. And I watched him go 4 for 12 from the free throw line. Like, Mason fucking sucks at hitting free throws. And now maybe they were just playing down to their competition to start the season, but I was not impressed. They did end up covering their number, but again, they played a cupcake school for an A-10 team to have like a 13.5-point spread. You better be beating up on the bottom feeders. I think Mason is going to struggle in the A-10 this season. I think Marquette is still going to challenge for the top of the Big East, though I do think Creighton is very good. I think Johns is getting better, and I really like Big East basketball. So these are 2 teams that I'm going to talk about a fair amount. Maybe not Mason as much, depends on how their season goes. But I watch a lot of A-10. I watch a lot of Marquette. I like both of these squads. Mason plays at a snail's pace, whereas Marquette likes to get out and run. Marquette has the better players at all 5 positions, as I mentioned. They will pack the gym, and the Marquette students go absolutely insane for their basketball program because that's all they have up there at a private Catholic school. Mason, I also would be a little not doing my job if I didn't mention that George Mason basketball program got absolutely finessed this offseason. They played a bunch of money to do like a preseason warm-up kind of tournament down in the Bahamas. It wasn't real. They got scammed and they lost like a lot of money, and it kind of put a little bit of embarrassment and a huge damper on the Mason basketball program that they're still dealing with, and it was a very public embarrassment. So I like the Golden Eagles to roll here at home and cover the number. I took a minus 11.5 this morning. Let me quickly double check the big board so we can just talk about numbers that exist right now. Even if it's moved, I still I don't hate taking this through 12.5. Yeah, 12.5's fine. You're getting minus 12.5 at minus 110 over on FanDuel, minus 108 on DraftKings. Market consensus seems to be about minus 12.5 here. And I'm perfectly fine laying that many points. It's not into the 20-point spreads that I really don't like, because then you'll get like freshmen and sophomores or rotational guys coming on to finish out the game after they put a beating on a team that does have to show some pride and some spine to try and cut the lead. I think 12.5 is a very coverable number here, and we grabbed 11.5, which again, I don't see a huge difference once you get past 10 points on talking college basketball. So, yeah, definitely they suck out loud. UMass, Westva is an interesting game. Sean, I will definitely circle back around to UMass Westva. Let me finish up. I got two more games here that I like that I have action on, and I'll circle back and talk a little UMass Westva with me. If you guys have any other questions on any other games on the board, feel free to drop them here. I'll be sure to talk about them. I have all my line shopping tools up and some research stuff that I'll be happy to share my screen and kind of show you guys what I use, if that helps, or if you're interested in that at all. But anyway, we're going to keep it moving right now into ASU versus Santa Clara. If you guys caught my first video of the season, I did do a little warm-up pre-recorded thing on St. Louis versus Santa Clara. I was pretty high on St. Louis. They got Indiana State's new head coach and brought Robbie Avila with them. Robbie ended up having to leave the game and when he tweaked something. It was an absolutely elite, electric basketball game. Guys flying up and down the floor, scoring a ton of points. I think Santa Clara definitely broke 80. I think it was like 78 to 86 or something like that. Anyway, this is another neutral site game in Las Vegas, so there's no home or away here. I should have changed that at to versus, so I apologize. That's my error on the graphics. One very important thing to know about Santa Clara. They are one of the tallest teams in all of college basketball. These dudes are like 6'8" and bigger, and I'm talking the front court as well as the back court. All five positions, these boys are lanky as fuck, which helps them out a ton when it comes to crashing the glass, defending the perimeter, and defending the paint. They do all those things pretty well. Their height gives them a major edge in rebounding, scoring, defending the paint, and perimeter shooting. ASU last season was absolutely abysmal. They averaged 69 points a game and allowed 74 points a game for their opponents. So they were losing games by an average of a 5-point differential. ASU shot a horrendous 41.6% from the floor as a team. That's not from three. That's not from deep. That's their field goal shooting percentage. It was absolutely trash last season. They shot 30% from deep and just 65.5% as a team from the free throw line. It was fucking embarrassing, and it was atrocious for the Sun Devils. They also got worked on the glass hard every game and had a minus 7.3 per game rebound differential on average. The one thing ASU did well was they created turnovers and they could score in transition. Santa Clara last season averaged 76.9 points a game. They beat opponents on average by 4.7 points, holding opponents to just 72.2 points a game last season. They shot 46% from the floor, which isn't great again, but they definitely have improved. Again, I watched that game versus St. Louis. They had a lot of freshmen, a lot of homegrown talent. They didn't make any moves in the transfer market, really. Santa Clara, if you're an old school guy who doesn't love the transfer market, they have a ton of homegrowns and they don't really get involved there. So good program to watch if you're not a fan of the new transfer rules. They did, again, being so tall, they pulled down a shit ton of rebounds at 39.3 per game last season and had 15.1 assists a game. One of their big weaknesses was ball security, but they did look good against SLU in their first game of the season. And SLU is definitely a little bit of a quick hands turnover merchant here. So I'm going to go ahead and lay the points on Santa Clara here. I know ASU is the bigger name program, but until I see something out of ASU that makes me believe that they can put the ball through the hoop with a consistent basis, I'm not buying into them. And I've watched the first Santa Clara game, and these guys look good. They've been able to stretch the floor a little bit more. They've been able to play in the mid-range. They're not just all crowding the paint and going up. And I think they're going to be able to box out. Again, one of the tallest teams in the NCAA. So I'm all about Santa Clara here. Continue to pull down rebounds. Continue to rack up your second chance points. Continue to pound the paint and stretch the floor with your three ball as you can. Just keep the rock secure and don't let Arizona State pick your pocket and then run for a quick two. I do think that Santa Clara covers this number at -4.5. I don't love the over here just because I'm not sure that Arizona State is going to be able to keep up with the pace of play and the scoring here. Quickly, before we move on, I just want to get the most accurate live number while we're doing this. So yeah, this is now moved to -5.5. It looks like is market consensus. Maybe even a touch of juice on that. -120 on FanDuel, -110 on BetMGM, -115 on some offshores. So yeah, it looks like -5.5 is pretty much market consensus. I'm good on this, even at -6. Worst case scenario, you get a little bit of a push there. I probably wouldn't play through the -6, though. I'm not going to lay 6.5. That is a pretty key number in basketball. So that's 2 threes. Guys won't stop falling if they're down to try and keep the game within reach, blah, blah, blah. So I don't want to lay more than the -6. Keeping it moving. This is going to be a really good game. Late night. The Lobos were not a surprise team. They were a very talented team, but they were young and they made some rookie mistakes last season. I still like the talent. They're returning 2 of 5 starters that I thought were absolutely excellent last year. Again, this is another neutral site game. It's at the same building as ASU versus Santa Clara. This one's out in Las Vegas. New Mexico was a standout team in the Mountain West Conference last season, and I like a lot about the Mountain West Conference. They play good basketball. Mountain West After Dark has kind of replaced Pac-12 After Dark since the Pac-12's gone, but they were a little but undisciplined. They got together late and had an excellent season in one of the best mid-major conferences. Again, the Mountain West put 4, maybe 6 teams in the tournament, including playing games. So New Mexico is returning Donovan Dent and Nelly Joseph. Dent averaged 32 minutes a game last season. He shot 52% from the floor, which isn't great, but he averaged 14.1 points a game. Not a big deep ball guy, but did shoot 37.5% from there. Had an abysmal 68.2% from the free throw line, which I'm really hoping he improved on. But he did lead the team in assists with 190 and was second on the team with 53 steals a game. Nelly Joseph played about 26 minutes a game. Again, not a great shooter from the floor, shooting 55%. New Mexico's thing was they weren't great field goal shooters. These guys love to pound the paint. They love to get vertical. They love to go up and finish at the rim. They didn't take a lot of threes, and they didn't take a lot of outside shots. They moved quickly with purpose, and they got guys breaking and finishing at the rim, and they were elite at doing it. So they will like to pound the paint again. New Mexico averaged 81 points a game last season and held opponents to 70.7 points a game on average. They shot 70.7% from the free throw line, which is pretty abysmal. And they're definitely going to need to step that up. But they pulled down almost 40 rebounds a game as a team and had an NCAA top 25 steals per game with 8.7. These guys love, the guards especially, love to have active hands, get in passing lanes, cause disruptions, and pick your pocket. Now, UCLA is the complete opposite. They play at a snail's pace. They have one of the slowest paces or possessions per game in the NCAA. They averaged 66 points a game while coughing up 65.5. They shot an abysmal 41.9% from the floor and 33.2% from deep. But they did only take about 5.5 shots from behind the arc a game. They did shoot better from the free throw line at 73%, but not all that much better than 70.7 for New Mexico here. They pulled down 33.8 boards a game and 11.2 assists a game. UCLA wants to play as slow as possible, whereas New Mexico wants to get out and run. Whoever dictates the pace of play here will likely dictate the outcome of this game. I know that I mentioned that New Mexico pounds the paint. UCLA definitely likes the mid-range and a little bit of the deep shots better. New Mexico absolutely pounds the glass and is elite at turning second chances into points. So offensive rebounds are going to be huge here for New Mexico. UCLA has excellent perimeter defense, but it's going to be kind of fucking useless against guys that all they do is get to the rim and fucking dunk it on you, which is my brand of basketball. That's my favorite shit in basketball, probably because I'm short and I can't do it. So I love the absolutely disrespectful dunks out of the Lobos here. UCLA definitely has a significant edge from the free throw line, and that might help them close out this game, but I do think that this number is too big. I like getting the plus 5.5 here on the Lobos. I want them to have another good season, and I think returning 2 standout starters is going to help them do it. So I'm not afraid to take the points here with the dogs, especially on a neutral site. This is the same arena that Ohio State played Texas in, and the place was fucking empty, dude. Like, I'm talking not even 3 rows deep off the court. There were empty seats. So I don't expect this to be a very packed building. And I like the Lobos here catching 5.5. Quickly taking a look at the board, we got plus 4.5, plus 4.5, plus 4.5. So it does look like it moved a point in away from our favor. I'm still fine taking the plus 4.5 here. I think the Lobos are really live. I think they can win on the money line outright. Again, that's not my recommendation, but I do like a lot about this Lobos team, and I could definitely see them winning on the money line outright here. What's going on, Trues? Good to see you. Appreciate you tuning in as always. So yeah, now that I got those 5 games off my chest, I will be happy to open this one up and talk about any other games you guys might want. Sean, I know you want to talk UMass versus Westva, and Leg manager says he likes Bama team total over 97.5. Who does Bama have today? They have Arkansas State, who isn't a completely fucking trash program. They're right around the top 100. They both like to play fast. They both like to play in transition here. I don't know. I think that team total is a hair high. I know that Alabama's capable of absolutely pouring it on, especially poor teams. What I'll tell you, Leg, is my guy over at HaslamMetrics.com likes Bama to score 91.4 today. And let's see what Ken Palm's got him at. Give me 1 second. Control F. We're looking at Alabama. Alabama. Ken Palm's got him scoring 94-73 in a blowout win. So I think that's a shade high from the books and a little bit of a ripoff. I'm not saying don't play it. I'm saying that I wouldn't play it at that number. I'm certainly not going to play the under just because of what Alabama's capable of. But I would say that that's at least 2.5 points too high for me, Leg. UMass versus Westva is an interesting game. So this UMass squad is definitely fun and cheeky. They have a good coach. They have a good program. Give me 1 second while I find this here. UMass, lol. UMass versus West-Va. Okay. So West-Va definitely had a pretty hefty downtick last season. They fired Huggy Bear after a DUI, which, whatever, dude. You live in fucking West Virginia. I know it sets a bad example for the kids, but it's fucking Huggy Bear, dude. You see your program went in the toilet without him, so I don't know. I probably would let him keep the job. But yeah, so West-Va is definitely in need of a little bit of a rebuild. You got an A-10 school here versus Big 12. This is a big step up in class, but like I said, UMass was pretty decent all last season. They're a program I watch a lot of and took a shine to. My problem with UMass is they fucking suck from the free throw line. They're one of the worst or at least this year, according to Haslametrics, they're projected to be only shooting around like 66% from the free throw line, which would put them in like the bottom 10% in the NCAA. But they love volume shots from the floor. They take a lot of shots. They put up a lot of stuff, and it's not always coming from deep. They do like to get in the lane and pound the paint here. They also have really active hands, and it looks like they're pretty good at turning people over here. And I do like that they shoot decently close to the basket. The one issue I see for UMass is they are going to have a little bit of a struggle when it comes to rebounding, just because West-Va is able to recruit Big 12 athletes. I think they're going to be a little undersized here on the boards. But again, look, it's game 2 of the season, and I'll be honest with you, I did not watch all 363 teams play their first game. So I'm just going off of a little bit of assumptions on some projection numbers I have. And I do need to see with my own eyes a little bit on some of these teams. But yeah, I mean, look, Haslam has this game projecting 73 to, let's call it 79. He's got a 3-star watchability rating on it. He's got West-Va ranked 85th versus UMass at 112. So I can definitely see this being a very good contest. Let me check KenPom real quick. UMass lol. So we got KenPom projecting an 82-73 win for West-Va here. I think that's pretty high. Again, I don't know a ton about who West-Va brought in. Let me see what the line is here. I don't know. Sean, I know you know your stuff. I'm pretty sure you're my homie who follows me that does media and photography for VCU. So if that's the case, you probably know a lot more about UMass off the dome than I do. But yeah, I think that if this number really is as big as I'm looking at KenPom's projections at, because that's what they usually use to set these lines, especially this early in the season. Yeah, I mean, UMass plus 9.5 sitting at minus 115, plus 9 sitting at minus 112, plus 8.5 sitting at minus 105. Market consensus looks to be plus 9 here. I mean, I'll take UMass in the points. And if you want them on the money line like Sean does, then let's see. You can catch like plus 140, plus 310. I don't think that's a bad look at all. I could definitely see UMass again. Last year's UMass versus last year's West-Va. I could find a way to UMass winning that game on the money line all day. What's going on, my man? Good to see you. Appreciate you tuning in. Interested in my thoughts on Bradley versus Washington State? Okay, give me 1 second while I pull that game up for you. Wazoo. Washington State. Late game, 11 o'clock tip-off over on ESPN Plus. Really close game. Both teams played a little bit of a snail's pace. Bradley, obviously, out of the Missouri Valley. I want to say finished like, I don't know. They finished towards the top of the Missouri Valley last year, I believe, versus Wazoo, who former Pac-12, now West Coast. Both of them play at a slower than average D1 pace. They actually are metriced like right around the same number. Oh, it's 8-Ball. What up? Appreciate it. 8-Ball changed up the profile pic. Good to see you. Always appreciate you tuning in, my man. Let me pull this up over on KenPom as well, just to look at it there. They like Bradley outright, 77-76. Haslam has Wazoo winning this 73-71. My gut here is saying Wazoo at home is probably the play. That is a tough travel for anybody. But Bradley, being a more Midwestern team, is definitely going to feel the brunt of the travel a bit more. This game is basically a pick'em here. I'm seeing +1.5 for Bradley, -1.5 for Wazoo. I'm seeing like a pick'em, a 1. I don't know. Personally, I would take Wazoo on the money line. I just don't know enough about Bradley. I would have to go back and check to see how many starters Bradley's returning versus Wazoo. I know Wazoo was okay, especially in the Pac-12 last year. I know they turned it on kind of right before the Pac-12 tournament and got some nice results, but struggled early in the season. My gut is just telling me to take, in a game this close that I don't know enough about the players on the floor, I would say that Wazoo is a tough travel for Bradley, and home court, especially up there, is worth at least 3.5 points. So if you like Bradley to win the game, I would say that you'd want to think that they were going to win the game by about 5.5 or 6. To take them on the money line. I don't, the +1 and the +1.5 don't really move the needle for me until we start getting outside like ±2.5. I'm a money line guy more than a points guy when it's that skinny and that tight. So that's just where I'm at with it and what I know off the top of my head. If you guys have any questions on any other games, I'll be happy to talk about them. Otherwise, I will take just a little bit more of a look here for 8-Ball at Bradley, Wazoo. But yeah, if nobody else has any questions on any other games, I'll do a little dive into that for 8-Ball. Otherwise, I'm probably going to keep it moving. Happy to have you guys here. I am going to be doing these live shows when I can. I am going to have a lot of pre-recorded content as well. I was just talking to my friend Brandy, who she's been great at handicapping college hoops. I've known her for about 4 years. She came on and did the tournament preview show with me last year. She's an Auburn grad. She was on the gymnastics team down there, and stays in really, really good connection with Auburn basketball program and the SEC. So she's plugged up down there. I believe she's on her way to Houston this weekend to see Auburn play. So yeah, she's going to be great. I can't wait to have her on. I believe we're going to be having her on like once a week. So that'll be really, really fun. Biggest discrepancy I saw on Bart Torkiv today was Arizona State line +5.5, but they had them projected outright. Yeah, until I see it from Arizona State, I'm backing Santa Clara because I really liked what I saw out of Santa Clara in that first game versus SLU, where I did fade them and looked at them pretty critically there. I like Santa Clara, and I'm fine laying the points just because ASU was absolutely abysmal last season. And until they show me something, I don't believe in ASU. That's just my philosophy on it. Again, it's early in the season. I didn't watch 363 D1 games when everybody played their first game. I'm going to learn as I go this season. The goal right now is to be just above 52.5%. So we're breaking even on spreads and over-unders. As we get into the season, I start seeing these teams for more than one game. I'll be starting to get into moneyline dogs. I'll start being able to help you out on player props a little bit too. But yeah, I would recommend staying light. Again, it is everybody's second game of the season. And just enjoy gathering the data, enjoy college hoops being back. I personally really like the game, even though the shooting is kind of garbage. I just enjoy the sport of college basketball. It's also very cheap and easy to get into. I already have a lot of, Peacock, Paramount Plus, blah, blah, blah. Most of these games, if they're not on basic cable, are on ESPN Plus, which is a pretty low cost to entry when handicapping. And besides Haslam Metrics, who I've mentioned several times, which he does a great job at giving his website for free. He runs it all off of donations. I make sure to donate every year right around Christmas. A KenPom subscription for the year is $25. Like, compared to the NBA, where you're looking at, NBA season ticket being $150 a year, getting a props.cash subscription at $200 a year, getting some other tools to use for the NBA, like, you're looking at spending almost $1,000 to handicap the NBA for an entire season, whereas college basketball, we're talking $100, maybe less. So that's why I love college ball. But what other sites do you use for CBB projections? I tend to look at Bart Borkiv. I forget how to say his name, but yes, I do like him. So let me show you real quickly, actually, if I can. This is going to cover up some of my graphics, but whatever. I don't really care. The information's more valuable than the visual. I should have set something up a little bit better, but no big deal. Here. So let me see if I can. So this is HaslamMetrics.com. HaslamMetrics.com. This guy is a dude from Wisconsin, doesn't have like any sort of affiliation. He's just a huge stat head that loves college basketball. He runs this website for free. Like I said, it's all on donations. One of my favorite things about this is you can get like future matchups, or if you're looking at stuff that's not like right away on the schedule, like if I want to see Georgia, I can go find how he would project them to do against any team in the country. And then I can have that show me that game and how it would break down according to the categories that he deems important. This is a little different than the 4 factors that come off of Bart or KenPom's projections. So he's got, adjusted field goal efficiency, free throw attempt rate, free throw percentage, field goal adjusted rate, field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, mid-range percentage, near point percentage, potential points created off of steals, second chance percentage, so how often you're turning offensive rebounds into points on the board, and then proximity to the basket on where they take shots. He has another page. If you go to the About section, it does a really good job explaining on how he does his advanced analytics. Basically, he calls what he does analytics final. When a game becomes such a blowout that you see the head coach start to empty the bench and it's a lot of garbage time minutes, and you're not getting meaningful, impactful data for starters versus starters. And that's where he kind of cuts it off. I'll let you read the whole thing on your own, but here's all the breakdowns of his abbreviations. You can get his metric insight for any game you want under the sun. It also shows you his projected top teams, playing teams, first out on the bubble teams. I also really like that. Other than like rankings for teams, I really like the function of being able to sort games by tip time. And I just like his layout. It's easy to read. It's easy to click on. It's easy to navigate. It's easy to do, especially from like my tablet where I do a lot of my research in the mornings, or like when I'm watching soccer games, getting ready for college basketball stuff before I open like a Word doc and write anything down. So I do just like how his stuff translates to mobile. Can't recommend him enough. Has some metrics. I follow him on Twitter. He's a nice guy. He's from Wisconsin. He is old school. He's one of those guys who rages against the transfer portal. We've gone back and forth about it a couple of times. It's no big deal. I like him. Like I said, I donate to the site every year. I'm happy to pay him what I pay Ken Palm for a subscription, $25. He brings me way too much valuable information that helps me handicap for free to not donate to the site. Anyway, that's my thing. The other one I use a lot is Ken Palm. Like I said, it's $25. It's been the standard for a long time when it comes to college basketball. It's not organized nearly as well as Haslam's stuff. There are like different tricks to being able to figure out how to navigate Ken Palm, stuff like that. I do think it's really good for, players. And when you're looking at guys' minutes and contributions and bench guys and impact roles here, that's a really good thing when you can look at bench minutes. You can also look at average experience of the team, height of the team, guys who will participate in the first half with 2 fouls, free throws, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of good stuff here on Ken Palm. Again, $25 a year. That's not a month. That's for the entire college basketball season and off season. It's super affordable. Definitely recommend a Ken Palm sub. And then the other thing I use all the time is just the NCAA website. So if I go look up West Virginia, we'll change this to basketball. I go over here to the West Virginia athletics site. It's going to give me basketball. This is something that I believe is required by the NCAA. But like, this is really the only reason the NCAA exists at all anymore, is because they keep stats. And this is where I got all of my information from that I read you off earlier. If I go back and I look at team shooting from last season, here's points per game, here's threes attempted per game, here's, threes made and attempted per game, 3-point percentage, free throw percentage, rebounds per game, margin, assists, all that stuff. Just available on the team's website. All 100% for free. And they're not hard to find, like at all. In fact, most of the college websites kind of look exactly like this, and you're going to find the stats category in almost the same exact place, at least on, of the 5 games I looked at, 9 of the 10 all looked like this. So yeah, that's how I go about finding all these stats. The last thing I'll show you is Unabated. This is my favorite line shopping tool. It's ridiculously pricey to subscribe to. If you're an arbitrage guy, it's a lot like, I forget the fucking one, Odds Jam or whatever it is. It's like $650, something fucking insane for the year. The only, reason I would ever recommend paying for Unabated is if you're good enough at building your own projection models. Unabated's really good at just uploading your projections and then showing you where your perceived discrepancy is versus the line. But if you're not betting $1,000 a play and you're not spending the thousands of hours building your own data models, just sign up for the free trial. Don't buy it and then use all of this free line shopping information. That's what I do, and it works for all the sports: NFL, odds, props, futures, NCAA football, basketball, college basketball, NHL, MLB when it's going on. A lot of stuff here. So Unabated's really good. Strongly recommended as a free line shopping tool. If you're not making a lot of money and you're not aggressively creating your own projection models, definitely not worth $650 a year. So yeah, that's all I got. Happy to share with you 8-ball. That's kind of what this stuff is all about. I like talking ball. I like talking ball with other people. And I'm happy to share my knowledge and where to find free, or at least tell you the cost of any place I use to do research. So that's kind of it. I don't think anybody else is looking for anything else. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. 8-ball, Sean Fisher, Trues, Charlie, Fernando, Leg. Appreciate you guys all. Until next time, I don't know. I might try and make. I gotta do a soccer show tonight at 7. That I gotta do some graphics for. I don't know if I'll be able to put together a video for Saturday college basketball tonight, but I will be back doing live soccer shows this weekend. Yeah, you know what? Let's just call it Monday. Look for more college basketball stuff Monday. I'll make a pre-recorded thing Sunday night covering any Monday games. Tuesdays and Wednesdays are huge college basketball days for me. As I mentioned, I like a lot A10. I like a lot Big East. I like a lot Big 12. The A10 and the Big East primarily play their midweek games on Mondays or on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And like I said, be sure to tune in. My girl Brandy will be joining me, and she is an excellent college basketball handicapper. I had her on last season to do a tournament preview, and we've been talking hoops since I kind of found online stuff and started doing gambling when it became legal in Illinois just after COVID. Anyway, like and subscribe to the YouTube page. It costs you absolutely nothing. It helps me out a ton. Check out the links in the description to join the Discords, either mine at $15 a month or mine combined with Flash Gordon Watson through Dub Club. That one's a little more pricey. It's $40 a month because Flash is worth it. He is very good. Follow me on social media at Burrow77, Twitter, X, Instagram, whatever, at Burrow77. And if you need a book, BetUS. Feel free to sign up through them with my promo code down below. I personally use BetUS, so I can assure you that it's not shady. Anyways, appreciate you guys. Have a great weekend. Welcome back, college basketball. Let's get this bread. And if I don't see you for soccer, I'll talk to you on Monday for a little more college hoops. Until next time, folks out. Doses. We outside!